Aries, welcome to your weekly tarot reading. Let's get started and see what messages we have for Aries, Sun, Moon, and Rising positions for the week ahead. Keeping in mind that these are general readings and may not resonate for everyone. So make sure to check out your other placements. And if you're interested in a personal reading, have a look at the description below. I am offering a promotion right now, and all the information is in the description. All right, let's get started and see what messages we have for Aries, Sun, Moon, and Rising for the week ahead. What is the energy around Aries? Going to do a Celtic cross. Okay, so current energy around Aries seems to be focused around hanging on to some moments or conversations that may have been challenging, hanging on almost to things and not feeling willing to let go at this time. We're going to sort of explore more about where this is taking you, Aries, but seeing these two cards come out together for your current energy makes me feel like you may be having a hard time letting go of some conversation or some communication or some words that were spoken, and you're sort of maybe ruminating over it or reliving it over and over again, sort of reanalyzing things and sort of trying to figure out what that conversation was all about and having a really hard time letting it go at this time. Let's see what the obstacle is. Oh, isn't that interesting? The obstacle here is the Ten of Cups, which makes me feel like in order to sort of let this go, what you're going to need to focus on is sort of choosing to feel in balance, choosing to be in a state of fulfillment instead of in a situation that makes you feel like you're at a lack or in loss. You know, like seeing that Four of Pentacles in reverse with this Five of Swords makes me feel like you're sort of focusing on what you don't have or an outcome that you didn't achieve or a result that through a conversation anyway made you feel like it just wasn't what you expected. It left you hanging on to a situation. And it's interesting that we see the obstacle to be the Ten of Cups, because that makes me feel like you almost are being guided to release this moment that you're hanging on to, that it's not worth hanging on to. It's taking away your ability to be fulfilled and sort of enjoying the present moment. You know what I mean? Sometimes when we focus too much on the past, it robs the joy of the present. And that's almost what I'm seeing when I look at this. Let's see what's top of mind for you when we're looking at this situation is the Six of Pentacles, excuse me. So that makes me feel like whatever happened here wasn't in balance. It wasn't fair. It may have been a one-way conversation. And, you know, hanging on to it is only sort of creating this situation for you that feels out of balance. And I think seeing the Six of Pentacles in this position makes me feel like you're being guided to be in balance, to see that perhaps what this experience was trying to teach you was that you don't resonate with relationships that are one-way streets anymore, Aries. And maybe you never have, but right now it's like you're hanging on to a difficult moment that was almost defeating. Like the conversation, the communication was defeating, and it made you feel like you had to hang on. It's almost like it created this energy where you can't let it go, and you're being guided to see that it wasn't in balance, and that by choosing to hang on to this situation, you're almost choosing against joy and fulfillment in the present moment. And it's interesting because it feels like it wasn't in balance. It was like a one-way conversation. And maybe you didn't get to say what you wanted to say. Interesting. As I say that, we see the Ace of Swords and the Page of Pentacles as what's sort of driving this reading. And so, you know, that really makes me feel like maybe you're hanging on to it or replaying it because you didn't actually get to say your piece. You didn't get to say your side of the story, and it's bugging you. it may be bothering you that you didn't really defend yourself, or you didn't stand up for yourself, or you didn't speak your truth. And it feels like you might be thinking you had an opportunity and you missed it. And so you're hanging on to it and ruminating over it. And it's slowly taking away your peace of mind here and leaving you feeling maybe emotionally like, unsatisfied, Let's see what the past influences were for this situation, Aries. Oh, interesting. 5 of Pentacles with the Empress in reverse. So I think this is a trigger for you because in the past, you have experienced moments where you felt like you were at a loss and that you were not really connected to yourself in the past, that experiencing these moments of loss sort of created a disassociation within you where you weren't able to feel grounded, you weren't able to feel empowered, and you've had these moments come up in the past. And so it's almost like there's a moment here in the present or in the very recent past where this has come up again. And again, you were in a position where it's like the dialogue was going one way and you didn't speak your truth, or you didn't express yourself the way that felt authentic to you. And so I feel like that's a pattern that's emerging because there's opportunities for you to try it in a different way. And as those opportunities come up for you, it's almost like, will you step outside of this pattern and sort of speak up for yourself and say the truth about something that you may be feeling like you didn't get that opportunity here. This is really interesting. It feels very specific. Let's see what the upcoming influences are here in this situation. 8 of Cups in reverse. So again, letting go comes through as a theme or guidance for you here, Aries. There may be something that you're hanging on to that is you may be hanging on to it because you really thought it would go a different way. And it's not proving to go that way for you right now. It's going in a direction where you're hanging on to something that doesn't serve you because it's not in balance. It's a one-way street. It's a one-way dialogue. It's my way or the highway kind of energy, And I feel like you've encountered this kind of energy in the past. And it's a pattern for you to sort of realize and break. It's interesting. That's sort of what's coming through here. Let's see, how does Aries feel about themselves right now? Interesting. Fool in reverse. So Fool in reverse to me is a time where not only are we sort of feeling like we need to do something in a different way, but we're also feeling a little bit anxious about that. We're feeling a little bit anxious about doing things in a different way and maybe second guessing ourselves, not really feeling confident about taking a new way, a new pathway, a new way of expressing ourselves, a new way of being authentic. And it feels like there may be some doubts, there may be some fear, there may be some apprehension about how you will be received if you do things in a different way. And that's sort of how you're seeing yourself right now. Let's see how other people are viewing you. Interesting. So Queen of Wands in reverse as how people see you is interesting. Queen of Wands in reverse to me is an energy that you don't want to mess with because it can be very explosive. It can be very hot tempered. It can be sort of almost like someone needs to express themselves, but they haven't. And when you bottle that up and then it just comes out all at once. You know what I mean? It's almost like other people see you right now as someone who bottles up how they really feel about something and how something triggers them and they're not talking about it. And so it's interesting. It feels like other people are seeing that you're not expressing yourself authentically, and that's causing this pressure to build within you, and that you could blow at any minute. It's almost like people see you as a ticking time bomb that could just blow at any minute. And what really needs to happen is just sort of an authentic expression of your truth regularly, as opposed to sort of stifling it and bottling it up and stuffing it down until one day you just explode. You know what I mean? Let's see what the hopes and fears are around this situation. Interesting. 4 of Swords coming out for hopes and fears. So it's almost like there's a part of you that just wants to put your mind at rest and just, reflect on all of this and sort of be at peace with it within, so that you can move forward, so you can recover from sort of feeling like you can't express yourself, to recover from whatever it was that sort of took your voice in the first place. Which feels like it was something that occurred in the distant past. Like this was a pattern that got established a while ago. It feels to me like this is a distant sort of wound that was created, and it's like there's a really big emphasis here for recovery. When I see the 4 of Swords in reverse, it makes me feel like taking care of this is taking care of yourself, like by addressing this pattern of communication and how it's sort of hurt you in the past. By having a look at it now, you could heal it. You could heal it. This is almost a message here to give yourself permission to slow down and have a look at things again, to see if it's time to let this go and to move past it, so that you're not hanging on to resentments or, feelings that you don't express that end up, boom, coming out in a more explosive way. Let's have a look at the outcome of this situation for you, Aries. Oh, wow, look at that. So we're seeing the Hangman in reverse with the 6 of Cups and the High Priestess. So that does confirm to me that this is sort of an inner child wound. Like when I was saying that this happened in the distant past, I think this pattern got started when you were a child, where you didn't necessarily feel like you could defend yourself. You couldn't speak up for yourself. You couldn't express yourself without being sort of defeated in that moment. Maybe maybe in some way when you expressed yourself, you weren't validated. You were told you were wrong and to be quiet, and I don't want to hear what you have to say, and sort of that created this pattern where you felt disempowered. And now, many years later, as time has passed, this keeps coming up. And I think that you're being guided here by your higher self to release this pattern and see things from a different perspective, so that you can heal that inner child wound and not feel like you can't express yourself honestly and authentically. And it feels to me like you're sort of being guided to allow that part of yourself to have freedom of expression, and to allow your expressive nature to come out without sort of fearing the outcome, or fearing how you will be received, or worrying that you won't be understood. It's almost like you're being guided here to be authentic and to feel empowered by speaking your truth, and allowing other people's reactions to be their thing to focus on. That it's not for you to focus on, well, how are people going to understand me? Are they going to understand me? Are they going to validate me? It's almost like you're being guided to express yourself in the moment as authentically as you can, without holding your true feelings inside because of fear maybe, or feeling like you won't be understood, or someone will shoot you down. You know what I mean? And it's interesting, seeing the Hierophant on the bottom of the deck tells me that you're starting to understand the key here. that could be holding you back in a lot of areas when it comes to expressing yourself and communication and hanging on to things and relationships and people that are out of balance with you, or out of balance in that it's a one-way street, and that you don't feel like you're part of that dynamic equally. It feels unequal. A very interesting reading for you this week, Aries. It feels really specific about hanging on to moments that were defeating and trusting yourself now in the present that it's time to sort of have a look at this. Let's see, to close your reading, what the final guidance is for Aries. Look at that. Go the distance and new life. Both coming out in the reversed, but I feel like that means that right now you don't see the finish line. You don't see how this could actually change things for you in so many different ways. And that you might not see that there is, this is a real sort of thing that you need to look at right now. That this dynamic is sort of coming up again and again for you to have a look at it and to keep going, to not bottle it up and continue this way. It feels like you're being guided to keep going towards shifting this dynamic within yourself so that you can feel like you can really express yourself authentically without fear of how people will receive you, without fear of letting go of certain relationships that aren't in balance, that don't serve you, without feeling like you're at a loss just because you spoke your truth. Very interesting. I'm going to leave it at that for you this week, Aries. Thank you so much for joining me. I just want to show you that on the bottom of the deck we see soulmates. So this tells me that whatever is going on here is like a soul contract. It's a contract to help you learn a lesson about this dynamic in your life right now. So there could be some very specific relationships where you feel this dynamic. There may be very specific people involved in these relationships with you that have created this dynamic to come to the surface so that you can have a look at it. And so you may have a certain person in mind that you're like, oh yeah, that I never have let that moment go. I never did let that go. And it still haunts me to this day, And so I will leave it at that for now, but I wanted to see what was on the bottom of the deck. So I'm happy I had a look, because it feels like there's very specific contracts here working to get you to see this lesson about communicating authentically and not bottling up your feelings and recovering from periods where you have done that, Okay, we'll leave it at there. Thank you so much, Aries. I look forward to reading for you again soon, and I'm sending you so much love. Take care, my friends.